Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new Division video. Today I want to go over how you can get all the new exotics from the Warlords of New York expansion. In one video, I do understand that there's a lot of people still curious on how you can get this weapon or this gear piece or that. Instead of making separate videos for everything, I just decided to make one kind of longer video explaining everything. Pretty much what the exotics are, what they do, how you get them, what's the best way that people have been grinding for them. So I do want to say also really quickly, I don't really have the majority of these exotics. This is information coming from people that actually do have them in the game, and they were lucky enough to actually get it dropped. For me, the RNG gods hate me. They have been hating me for the longest time since like the Division 1 where they introduced the house. So I'm not surprised, but sooner or later, obviously, we'll all get the exotics if we play enough. Alright, so the first thing I do want to talk about is actually the new exotic rifle called the Bighorn. This is what it looks like, and this came with the New York expansion. Keep in mind, you have to have the expansion in order to get this exotic. If you don't, unfortunately, you cannot acquire it in-game. But the way you actually get this is by playing legendary missions and strongholds. You have about a 5% chance of this getting dropped. Now, as you guys know, the legendary missions are super hard. I don't know if you guys tried one or not. I did, and let's just say it ended in about 10 or 15 seconds of me actually doing it. Very difficult. I'm not really surprised why this is locked behind legendary missions and strongholds that we know as of right now. Maybe you can get it another way in the future, but as of right now, this is how how you acquire this weapon. This is what people have to do in order to get this. So in the future, it might change, but as of right now, if you want the Bighorn, you have to play legendary missions or strongholds. What makes this weapon super good and in my opinion really worth the grind is the talent. So what the talent is called, it's called a Big Game Hunter, and what it does is when scoped, switches to semi-automatic fire mode, dealing 450% weapon damage with each shot. So for PvE and even PvP, I would assume this will be very good, but for PvE especially, if you have like a headshot type of build or just a damage overall build, and you're kind of sitting back using this as a kind of rifle, this is going to be absolutely insane. You will be one-shotting it left and right. So obviously super hard to get, but the talent on this thing is very good. And if you can get lucky enough to actually get it to drop with a 5% chance, then again, you're pretty much blessed with like a one-shot weapon for PvE. The next weapon I do want to talk about is the Bullet King, and this weapon's a little bit easier to get. A lot of people already have this, even a few of my friends got lucky enough and actually got this to drop. But the Bullet King is the exotic LMG, and how you actually get this is by doing Riker missions. So you have to kill Riker bosses at the end for you to have a chance of this weapon dropping. Now, pretty simple. I think the best mission for this one is the tombs. Just farm that mission over and over again on normal, hard, challenging, or heroic, and you should be able to acquire this. Now, the drop chances for this weapon are pretty simple. So for normal difficulty, you get a 1% chance of this weapon to drop. On hard, you get 3% chance. On challenging, you get a 5% chance. And on heroic, which are the best odds, you get a 7% chance of this weapon to drop. Again, exotic LMG, really cool. And what makes it really good as well is the talent. So it's called a Bullet Hell. And what it does is this weapon never needs to be reloaded. Yes, you guys heard that correctly. The weapon does not reload at all. What it says is for every 100 bullets that hit an enemy, replenish some ammo to you and your allies' reserves. So honestly, like for PvE, like LMG PvE builds, this thing is very good, especially if you're doing like heroic missions. You guys know how the enemies just eat now, or not really eat, but like if you don't have the best build, they eat on heroic. So this LMG, very good for that. Even for PvP, I do assume this will be a very good weapon to use, since you don't really have to reload. You could always just focus on, shooting and actually, doing all the killing, I guess you could say. Up next, really quickly, I do want to mention the Regulus and the Ravidus. I think that's how you say those names. These are actually the exotic pistol and exotic rifle in the game. As of right now, we have zero information how to get this. I don't even think there's one person in the game that actually has these weapons. If you do, you got super lucky, but we don't have any information either from data mining or just people actually having those weapons. So again, the Regulus and the Ravenous, I think it's called something like that. That is the pistol and the rifle in the game. So no information as of right now. Moving down, we have the Lady Death, and this is the exotic SMG. Very, very good. In my opinion, I use this personally. It's a really good weapon, especially for like if you are a rushy player and just like using SMGs. It's a fun gun to use, and pretty much how you acquire this weapon is by doing the open world bosses in New York City. You have around a 3% chance of getting this weapon. So the deck of 22 kind of bosses that are roaming the city, you can pretty much farm them and hopefully you get lucky. Again, as of right now, there's no other ways you can get this, just by killing the bosses and hopefully they drop it for you. The talent that this weapon comes with is called Breathe Free, and what it does is when moving, gain 4 stacks per second or 8 stacks if sprinting, up to 40 stacks total. Each round fired consumes a stack, amplifying damage by 60%, kills grant plus 20% movement speed for 10 seconds. So overall, as I said, a really good SMG, especially if you are a rushy player, if you come from like the Call of Duty background and you just like running kind of headless with an SMG, this is the gun for you, trust me. The damage on this is nice, the movement is really nice as well, and just overall a pretty simple and easy exotic to get. The first piece of gear I do want to talk about is the Acostas Go Bag, and this item actually drops from faction crates. So you guys know those little tiny crates, the Hyena crates, the True Sons crates, the Outcast crates. Pretty much that's where the bag will be dropping. You have a 3% chance of actually getting it. Pretty simple. Those crates are pretty much everywhere on missions and just the open world and stuff like that. So you specifically don't have to do anything. You could just kind of roam around and look for those crates. I'm pretty sure there's like a map of those crates kind of located in DC. So if I find it, I will provide it on screen right now. You guys can see it. This is pretty much like the locations of crates and stuff like that. If I don't, I do apologize. I remember there was like a map that someone made on Reddit or something like that. But the talent on this weapon or this gear piece, see, I was talking about weapons for like the past 10 minutes. So, but on this gear piece, the talent, the first one we have is One in Hand. And what it does is damaging an enemy with a grenade grants +1 skill tier for 15 seconds, grants overcharge if already at skill tier 6. So pretty good for kind of skill power builds and if you are rocking the skill tiers at max. And also it's called 2 in the Bag is the second talent it has, and this will pretty much give you +1 armor kit, +3 grenade, +25% ammo capacity, +10% repair skills, and +10% status effects. Pretty good bag overall. To me, I don't think it's worth running, to be honest, because obviously right now in the game you can only have a talent on the backpack and the chest piece. So do I really want to sacrifice a talent for an exotic backpack? Not really. So again, in my opinion, it's not really worth running, but it depends on your build, I guess, and depends on your playstyle and you know, what you're kind of using in game. But this is the Acostas Go Bag, and this is pretty much how you get it. The next exotic on the list is called the Tardigrade Armor System, and this is actually an exotic chest piece. The way a lot of people have found this chest piece is by doing True Sons and Hyena missions. I'm not really sure about other faction missions, but the majority of people I have seen, either on Reddit or just Twitter, talking about this chest piece, it seems like all of them have gotten this from True Sons missions or Hyena missions. So that's the thing I would recommend farming for. Again, anything that's Hyena or True Sons, you could just play and have a chance of getting this. As for the drop rates, it is the same as the other exotics. So for normal, you have a 1% chance. On hard, you have a 3% chance. On challenging, it's 5%. And then heroic, you have a 7% chance of this exotic to drop. Now moving on to the talent, it is actually a pretty interesting talent. So what it says here is whenever you or any ally's armor breaks, they gain 80% of your armor as bonus armor for 10 seconds. Cooldown per ally is 45 seconds. And it also says killing an enemy with your specialization ammo removes this cooldown for all allies. So in my opinion, this is a great pickup if you are doing a kind of support healer build or just kind of a support build in general. This is something that is going to be very beneficial, especially for your DPS players on your team. If you're rocking like 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 million armor, 80% of that is going to be huge for those players. Again, especially if they're running like ultra damage builds, ultra like DPS builds. That bonus is going to be insane and definitely, you know, save lives, I guess you could say, whenever you're doing like heroic missions or just in general playing the game. So a really nice chest piece, pretty easy way to get it. Again, all you have to do is pretty much just farm Hyena missions or True Sons missions, and hopefully you get this exotic to drop. Up next, we have the Imperial Dynasty exotic, and this is actually the exotic holster. How you acquire this one is by doing cleaner missions and just killing cleaner bosses at the end. Anything that has a cleaner boss at the end, you have a chance of getting this exotic as a drop. Once again, the drop rates are the same as the other exotics of 1%, 3%, 5% for challenging, and 7% for heroic. Obviously, the higher difficulty, the better chances you have of getting this as a drop. Now moving on for the talent, it is called Dragon's Glare. It's not the best, I'll be honest, but what it says here is while in combat, applies burn to the enemy closest to you within 20 meters. The cooldown for this is 40 seconds. Once again, not the best talent. Maybe if you are rocking a specific build, maybe if you're doing something in PvE, this can be decent, but in my opinion, it's not something I would probably be using at all in the game. Next up, we have the Ninja Bike Messenger knee pads, and these are the new exotic knee pads in the game. How you actually get them is by doing the Dark Zone. Yes, you have to go in the Dark Zone in order to acquire this exotic. You can't get in PvE. It is tied to the Dark Zone and a Dark Zone exclusive. Now, the way you actually get this is by doing the supply drops or opening up the supply drops in the Dark Zone. You have about a 3% chance of getting it from that, but I'm sure if you just do landmarks, if you kill bosses in the DZ, sooner or later this thing will drop for you. But overall, you have a better chance of acquiring this by just doing the supply drops and opening them in the Dark Zone. Now, these knee pads are actually really good, and when I say really good, I mean like really, really good, especially for LMG builds. The reason why is because of the talent. So what it does and what it says here is performing a cover to cover or vaulting reloads your drawn weapon. So you pretty much don't have to reload a LMG. Let's say you have an LMG build for PvP and you have like 135 rounds in it. Let's say you're down to 30 rounds, and instead of reloading, all you have to do is just vault, like climb over something, or just do cover to cover, and this thing will be at 100% of bullets in its magazine. So really, really good, especially for PvP, PvE. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. The more people, that get this exotic, how it's going to play out, how it's going to be kind of going on. And since it is a pair of knee pads, you're not really missing out on a talent from like the backpack or the chest piece. So a really good piece to run, in my opinion, for the majority of the builds in the game. The final exotic I do want to talk about is called the Coyotes Mask, and how you actually get this one is very simple and very easy. All you have to do is reach level 35 on the Season 1 Battle Pass, and this mask will be yours. Now this is what it looks like, pretty cool if you ask me. And as for the talents or the bonuses, I guess you could say, I couldn't really find too much information on this. The only piece of information I did find was from a IGN video, and I'm not really sure if this is 100% accurate or not. If it is, let me know in the comments. If it's not, I do apologize, but this is what I found. So this mask is pretty much going to give you critical hit chance and critical hit damage as the talent, as the rewards. So if you are 0 to 50 meters away from an enemy, this mask will give you plus 25% critical hit damage. If you're 15 to 25 meters from an enemy, it's going to give you 10% critical hit damage and 10% critical hit chance. And if you're 25 meters from an enemy, it's going to give you 25% critical hit chance. That's pretty good in my opinion. That's actually really good, especially if you are using a AR build, if you're using something like a rifle build, something like that. You can pretty much take the benefit from both the critical hit chance and critical hit damage of 10% for the mask. So pretty good in my opinion, pretty easy to get as well. Just reaching level 35 should be very simple if you guys, grind and actually play the battle pass once it's out. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope this video helped you guys out. If you did have some questions about specific exotics, or you weren't really sure how to get them and stuff like that, hopefully this video cleared up the information for you. So if you guys did enjoy this video or find it helpful, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more videos, and also if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. If it's anything about the game or just exotics in general, just once again, let me know in the comments. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.